KREF app.
The Ref Sports Radio Network.
Live from the Buffalo Wild Wings studios, it's time to get locked into the best Sooner recruiting and football news with Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You better lock it up. No, you lock it up. You lock it up. Lock it up.
Hit the guys up on the Riverwind Casino call-in line at 405-329-9000 or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
Uh-oh, do we have to make my colleague Brandon Drum an enemy of the state? An enemy of the program?
I would hope not.
He just released his preseason SEC ballot, and he has Texas winning the conference. Drinking that orange Kool-Aid. Buying the Arch Manning hype. I guess we'll have to have a conversation about that with him when he comes on air tomorrow. Looking forward to see what the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line has to say.
Did you release yours?
I have not released mine publicly.
Okay.
I made my picks, and I don't mind discussing them. I have Georgia over LSU. I have Georgia winning the SEC.
Okay.
To me, there's a very clear top tier in the conference, right? 4 teams. Georgia, LSU, Texas, Alabama. Not necessarily in that order, but that's kind of how I see it stacking up.
I tiered the conference earlier today, and I had the exact same 4.
There you go. You get to 5 and things get wonky.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, from 5 to 12, I would say, 12, even 13. It's really easy to see any of those teams falling pretty much anywhere along that 7 or 8 wide list of spots in the standings. It's pretty clear to me, like 2 things are clear to me. 1, you have the top tier that I mentioned. 2, you have the bottom tier, which is Missouri and Mississippi State. I have Missouri finishing 15th in the conference, Mississippi State finishing 16th. I would be very surprised if anybody but Mississippi State finishes last in the SEC, just because I didn't even really get the impression yesterday that Jeff Lebby even believed the things he was saying about his team. They don't look good on paper, and there's not a lot to get excited about with that program. But I would say everybody from 5 to 14 isn't necessarily on equal footing, because obviously you're a bit more optimistic about a program like Oklahoma or Texas A&M or Tennessee than you are about a program like Vanderbilt or Kentucky. But there's not a ton of variance between programs 5 through 14 in the SEC as I see it. I believe I picked Oklahoma 7th in the conference.
Okay.
I was a lot higher on Texas A&M than my colleague Jesse was. He had Texas A&M at 11. I had A&M all the way up at 5. I think they're going to have a strong season.
I think they've got a strong roster. I don't know what I think about Marcel Reed at quarterback. Because I don't know if he can elevate them to that level where they're the 5th best team in the SEC. I don't know right now if their quarterback situation being what it is, I don't know if they're better than Oklahoma right now, to be frank.
I think Oklahoma has a higher ceiling than Texas A&M as a program. I think A&M has the higher floor, and that's kind of what I've
That might be true.
Yeah, that's kind of what I lean toward at this point is the floor. I favor the floor more so than the ceiling. So I have Oklahoma 7th in the SEC this fall. As I filled out the all-conference ballots, I found myself going with a lot of Sooners on what would equate to the 2nd and 3rd team, because you have to rank them, and at each position they'll ask you to rank 3 or rank 6 or rank 8 if it's a broader position group like offensive line. I don't know that anybody – I don't think anybody on OU's roster right now, for me, was a first-team All-SEC guy, with the exception of Ben Anderson, the long snapper. And, you think about it, like, R. Mason Thomas is a dude that immediately springs to mind. Well, how could you not have R. Mason Thomas as a first-team All-SEC performer? Well, this is just, again, reality of the situation in the SEC. There are really good players across the conference at every position. Much as I would have loved to put R. Mason Thomas on my first-team ballot, or I guess either 1 or 2, which equates to the first team on the ballot, he happens to play in the same conference as Colin Simmons and Dylan Stewart.
Which I was going to guess. I'm guessing those are your first team edges.
That's a pretty clear one, too.
Yes.
In my mind.
Yes, agreed.
And in pretty much everybody's minds. Same thing with Jaden Ott, right? Like, I'm a believer that Jaden Ott's going to have a big year. Is it going to be a big enough year that he's going to be first or second team all-conference in an SEC that also features Jam Miller, Caden Durham,
the Moss kid at Texas A&M,
Le'Veon Moss? I think he was number 2 for me.
Okay.
But yeah, I'll pull out my my full ballot here, and we can kind of look over it throughout the show. But yeah, I have Oklahoma finishing 7th in the SEC on my preseason ballot. Jaden Ott, I ranked him number 4 at running back behind Nate Frazier, Le'Veon Moss, and Caden Durham. Slightly ahead of Quintravion Wisner and Jam Miller. It's always interesting to me.
You have Jam Miller pretty low.
I know. I felt iffy about that one. It's like, I could go a little bit higher with Jam Miller, but I feel really secure about the top 5 on that list. I also find it interesting that Quintravion Wisner has started to go by Quintravion, because when he was coming up as a recruit, it was Trey.
Mm-hmm.
And generally speaking, at some point in your adult life, you're going to shorten a name as opposed to lengthening it. Rarely do you see this type of deal where the shortened name turns into the full version, especially when the full version is 11 letters long, like Quintravion Wisner's is. But, yeah, obviously some other guys that appeared on my ballot, albeit not first team. I had Jacob Sexton in my offensive line group. Grayson Halton and Jaden Jackson made the cut for me at defensive line. I had Kip Lewis in there with the linebackers. And then actually went with 3 Oklahoma defensive backs. Again, none of them made first team for me. But I had Robert Spears-Jennings, Kendall Dolby, and Eli Bowen all on my ballot.
Okay.
I have a take, and I was contriving this take on the drive back home from Dallas this morning with Jesse Crittenden. And before I get to the take, I want to remind you that if you would like to chime in on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, please do so, 405-651-3439. This hour of the program, the only hour of this program, is brought to you by Dorsey Jones Buick GMC out in El Reno. Family-owned and operated, great staff, great service technicians out there. They can set you up with a brand-new vehicle, or they can service your existing vehicle. Obviously, GMC offers some of the best trucks and SUVs on the market in terms of reliability, so head out there to Dorsey Jones and do business with the fine folks out in El Reno there. Here's my take. There's a guy, and I noticed him at several different positions or under several different classifications on the All-SEC ballot or amongst the possible selections, because they won't let you pick just anybody in the SEC. They'll list off maybe 20, 25 guys at a given position. Giovanni Gibson wasn't even an option at wide receiver, which, understandable. You can't have, especially with how many folks just get laser focused on their own beat and don't watch the rest of the conference, you can't have every available option made to reporters. You have to kind of cull the fold in a general sense, and so that's what the SEC does. But one guy that I noticed that appeared on the ballot at multiple positions as a possible selection is Isaiah Satania, both at wide receiver, at return specialist, and I think also at all-purpose for Oklahoma. Isaiah Satania, to me, and I am as culpable as anyone in this regard, I don't know that we have talked about as Isaiah Satania enough, because coming out of spring, the word was and is he's in line to start for Oklahoma in the slot. He's in line to be their starting slot receiver. We know he's a tremendous return man. And here's the kicker for me. He's going into his senior year. The situation into which he is stepping at Oklahoma is so vastly superior, and we don't know exactly what it's going to look like, but we know for a fact it's vastly superior than anything he has ever had to deal with at Arkansas or gotten to deal with at Arkansas in his 3 seasons there, because Arkansas has been a pretty pitiful offensive football team in the Sam Pittman era. And so when I look at what Satania has done and what he's accomplished production-wise, both as a receiver and in the return game, I would almost liken his situation to that of Eric Gray, because I can recall making similar remarks about Eric Gray when Oklahoma nabbed him in the portal in the spring of 2021. At the time, that was pre-Josh Heupel. That was Jeremy Pruitt era Tennessee. It was right around the time that Jeremy Pruitt got fired and Heupel got brought in. But Tennessee in 2019 and 2020, the 2 years that Eric Gray was on campuses of all, I mean, their offense was abysmal. Some of the worst offensive football I have ever witnessed at the Power 4 level. Jarrett Garantano, brutal. Absolutely incapable of doing anything good on a football field, at least in Orange. I think he went to Washington State after that, and he might have done decently for himself. But at Tennessee, he was terrible. And Tennessee was terrible. But amidst it all, in 2020, as a sophomore, in an abbreviated campaign, mind you, Eric Gray racked up 1,000-plus scrimmage yards. And so, my line of thinking when Eric Gray transferred to Oklahoma was, if he did that in a really ugly situation out there in Knoxville, what can he do when surrounded by a much more stable supporting cast in Norman? And I'm starting to think similar thoughts with regard to Isaiah Satania. Giovanni Gibson picked up the majority of the buzz in the spring at wide receiver. I know there's been a lot of recent talk, for instance, about Jermichael Carter, the McNeese transfer, who just came in at the end of spring. Josiah Martin, they brought him in as well. They brought in Keontez Lewis. And I feel like between Martin, Lewis, and Satania, they're kind of regarded as the other guys, the other transfers. Giovanni Gibson is the one that's going to be the dude for Oklahoma in 25 and beyond. And that may be the case, but are we undervaluing how significant an addition Isaiah Satania could be for Oklahoma?
Possibly. And the reason it's not a definite yes is because I think Deion Burks, when healthy, is quite a weapon in the slot as well. Mm-hmm. So it almost, in a way, Satania is not a carbon copy of Deion Burks by any stretch of the imagination, but it almost seems a little bit redundant. But you can never have too many dudes who can create separation and have good, reliable hands in the middle of the field. You can never have enough of those dudes, especially in Oklahoma's situation where we don't really know who's going to be the tight end and how capable said tight end will be to contributing in the passing game. That, I think, does matter. So Isaiah Satania is one of those guys where his addition, along with Deion Burks coming back, and what you have with Giovanni Gibson, if he does indeed come back healthy early in the year, as has seeming to be the sentiment, now you have a question of where do all the puzzle pieces fit? Who fits where? Where are you going to put a Deion Burks if you have a guy like an Isaiah Satania? Do you kick Deion Burks out wide, which is likely going to be what happens, and he'll play opposite of Giovanni Gibson once he comes back? So it creates this puzzle where you have to fit everything together, but it creates a ton of opportunity for versatility.
And Deion Burks.
Okay.
Okay, hang on.
Parker didn't have a stroke, everybody.
I did not have a stroke. I just noticed a piece of news that hit my feed and figured, well, this is breaking news. This should probably get mentioned before we go any further. 4-star wide receiver Daniel Odom, a longtime Oklahoma commit in the 2026 cycle. For those of you that have been following his process, there's been noise, constant noise for months and months and months that maybe he's looking around. Rivals Adam Gorney reported last week that he had an in-season visit to Colorado lined up. Here is what Daniel Odom posted on Twitter 13 minutes ago. This is one of the toughest decisions I have had to make in my life. With that being said, I am only one person, and I can only choose one school. After much prayer and consideration, I have decided that I will not be choosing another university effective immediately. I'm shutting down my recruitment and 100% committed to Oklahoma.
Okay.
Bang! There you go. That's a bit of good news on a Thursday.
Yeah, that would have been catastrophic, I think, if that announcement had went the other way. Given what is going on with the wide receiver room in the 2026 class, they could not have a loss like that. So, look, good on Emmett Jones for getting him to lock this down. Good on the staff for making him feel like, hey, regardless of the fact that your buddy Jaden O'Neal isn't here anymore, isn't a part of the class anymore, we still would like to have you. So I think they get major props for that because disaster averted. Is he still the only wide receiver commit in the class?
Still the only wide receiver commit in the class.
Yeah, there you go.
Waiting on Davian Gross.
How long do you think that's going to take?
I mean, man, frankly, I thought and others thought that he was going to commit this past weekend. It didn't happen. So we're still in a holding pattern with Davian Gross. Sorry, I didn't mean to get off track there. We were having a nice conversation about Isaiah Satania, but breaking news is breaking news, and this is primarily a recruiting show. So there you go, folks. I don't know if you would even categorize it as news because it's not a new development. It's simply a reaffirmation of a previous development in Daniel Odom's recruitment, but he is not going to be taking any further visits. He's not going to be entertaining any other programs and their advances. He is 100% locked in with Oklahoma and will sign with the program in December. So, there you go. Fun way to kick off our Thursday show here on Locked In. With that, let's hit a quick break. Let's come back. We will get to some of your texts on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439. Much to come here on The Ref. The home of Sooner fans. Keep it right here.
This is Mark Van Hoos, owner of Van Hoos Fence. Van Hoos Fence has years of experience and proven superior performance, kind of like a certain head ball coach.
We know Van Hoos Fence offers the best value and service for your residential, commercial, or sports fencing needs. Whether it's a new install or repair work, let Mark and his team at Van Hoos Fence be your trusted resource.
Call us today at 405-735-1167.
Save yourself from Googling it up. Go to vhfence.com. They will work with you in a great way.
Oklahoma DRS helps job seekers with disabilities become taxpayers.
Their whole thing is to help people with disabilities go back to work.
They knew that I would be successful if I did not give up.
They have given me the power and confidence to face any challenge.
I'm just glad that, DRS was there. Empower yourself. Talk to DRS Vocational Rehabilitation.
Or services for the blind today.
OKDRS.gov. 800-487-4042.
Don't miss out on OKC's hottest entertainment at the Showplace Theater with acts like
Air Supply, July 25th. Tracy Lawrence, August 1st. Sammy Kershaw, August 15th. And Brett Michaels, September 27th.
Riverwind is OKC's favorite casino experience.
At Meals on Wheels of Norman, we deliver more than just meals. We deliver connection, compassion, and care to homebound seniors right here in our community. But we need your help. Volunteer drivers are the heart of what we do, and just a little of your time can make a big impact. Join our team, make a difference. Visit MealsOnWheelsNorman.com or contact us at 405-321-7272 to sign up as a volunteer and start serving smiles today.
Dreaming of your own backyard oasis? Be the envy of your neighborhood and let Signature Custom Pools help you create the perfect poolside paradise. Their professional design expertise can transport you into your own Mystic Falls, suburban sanctuary, or Mediterranean retreat. Settle into an endless vacation, entertain your family, friends, and get the signature touch with Signature Custom Pools. Call them for a free consultation at 405-898-9098 or visit them online at signaturecustompools.com today.
Hi, Teddy Lehman here for Titan Title and Closing. And when I played for OU, I knew I could trust my teammates. And when you're making the biggest decision of your life, like selling or buying your home, you want a team you can trust. That's why you can call my teammate, Devry.
Thanks, Teddy. As one of the partners here in Norman at Titan Title and Closing, I know a thing or two about Norman. I've raised my children here, and I've been in the real estate industry for over 25 years. We work with over 25 entities that are involved in each transaction, and our team plays on both sides of the transaction to achieve a win for our realtors, lenders, builders, sellers and buyers. When you sell your property, be sure to ask your agent to close with Titan Title and Closing here in Norman. You can contact us today at 405-689-8617. Again, that's 405-689-8617.
Greetings from Cavender Subaru of Norman, where our lineup of new and pre-owned vehicles comes with something extra, a team that treats you like family from day one. And with expert technicians and service advisors, we'll get your Subaru back on the road or perform regular maintenance no matter the make or model. That's what you'll find here, every visit, every time. Visit us online or at 3305 Corporate Center Drive, Cavender Subaru of Norman, a Cavender Auto family dealership, where confidence is Cavender.
It is the Ref, the home of Sooner fans. This is Locked In on a Thursday afternoon. Parker Thune, Grayson, Singleton with you. Talking OU at Recruitment. What else? I found this interesting, Grayson. One of the realities of message boards and social media and just the discourse surrounding all things college football in this day and age, and recruiting, which of course we spend a great deal of time on this show talking about, is you have facts and then you have feelings, and some people don't care about the facts and they allow their opinions to be dictated merely by their feelings. You have emotional rhetoric and you have concrete, verifiable data. Let me present a piece of concrete, verifiable data.
Good intro, because I know where we're going with this.
Let me present a piece of concrete, verifiable data that flies directly in the face of so many folks' opinions of Oklahoma's roster and recruiting. Bud Elliott, former colleague of mine, 24/7 Sports, every single year, he is the one responsible for, he might have invented this metric. I don't know. But I know his name is very closely associated with. And he compiles this list every year. Every single year, Bud Elliott of 24/7 Sports comes out with what is called the blue chip ratio. It is an evaluation of every single roster in college football. And he looks at each of the rosters, and he determines what percentage of the players on a given roster were blue chip recruits out of high school. Does that always tell the whole story? No, it does not, because some guys, for instance, John Mateer, turn out to be really freaking good college football players, and they were not blue chippers or anything close to it coming out of high school. But a common theory, a common perspective seems to be, and it certainly is, well, if you want to compete for championships, you got to recruit elite talent. Not every blue chipper is going to pan out, but, and by the way, for those who are unclear, a blue chipper is defined as a 4-star or 5-star prospect. If you have more than 3 stars, you are a blue chipper. And so Bud Elliott's blue chip ratio is, in general, a pretty solid way of evaluating overall talent on rosters across college football. Again, doesn't account for every single variable, but it's just kind of a well-rounded metric to understand how talented certain teams are relative to one another. And there's an interesting data point here that I will bring up before I disclose the piece of data that I want to get to. I know I'm taking a long time to get to it, but this is all important backdrop. At no point in the modern era has a program won a national championship with a blue chip ratio of less than 70%. And so when Bud Elliott comes out with his blue chip ratio every single year, he will designate any team north of 70% as a team that can win the national championship. Because again, nobody below 70% has ever done it in the modern era. And so there are 9 teams this year that are above 70% in the blue chip ratio and are thus, according to history and according to the data, the 9 teams that are capable of winning a national championship in the year of our Lord 2025. Folks, Oklahoma is on that list. Oklahoma has a nice, even, square 70% blue chip ratio. And if you look at some of the teams that are on that same list, it's the usual suspects, right? Notre Dame is on that list. Georgia is on that list. And now I had the list in front of me, and now I just lost it. So let me get it in front of me again. Thank you. Go ahead.
Alabama and Ohio State lead, followed by Georgia, Texas A&M, Oregon, Texas, LSU, Notre Dame at 73%, and then you get to Oklahoma.
Mm-hmm. All of those teams, with the exception of Texas A&M, have competed for national championships year in and year out over the last decade plus in college football. And we know why Texas A&M's blue chip ratio is inflated. There's still a lot of residual from that class that they bought in 2022. And we know how they put it together, and we know that it hasn't really panned out in terms of on-field results. Here are some of the teams that don't meet the 70% threshold. Penn State, Auburn, Michigan, Miami, USC, Clemson, Tennessee, Florida, and Florida State. Folks, if all you care about is the recruiting rankings, and I hope and pray that all of you care about more than just the recruiting rankings, but if that is all you care about, if all you care about is Oklahoma recruiting 4- and 5-star players and you believe that is the recipe to winning a national championship, you have no reason to be dissatisfied with where Oklahoma's roster is at right now. Because a 70% blue chip ratio is A, north of a national championship threshold, and B, in incredibly good company nationally.
Well, I don't think Oklahoma's going to win a national championship this year.
Nor do I.
But it is interesting. That list is interesting because you could take it one of two ways. You could take it as, well, if you get there to that threshold, you're in the national championship conversation. Nobody's thinking of Texas A&M as a national championship contender. But also, the 18th team on that list is Florida State, who was atrocious a year ago. So there's going to be a lot of fluctuation as it pertains to this. But here's what I want to focus on, because I think this is going to underscore a point that I've been making for months, or really weeks. Let's call it that. I still think we're undervaluing this current recruiting class. I will still say it. Now, I get that this class is not factored into that, obviously. But next year, if you look at the blue chip percentage of the class now and what you can project it to end up as, we project Bo Jandro will probably be a blue chipper by definition, over 3 stars. I think he gets his 4th.
Mm-hmm. As do I.
This class and that ratio starts to look a lot better. So the whole notion that Oklahoma has done poorly on the recruiting trail, I think should be dispelled, especially over the last couple of years. But even this year, they've got solid dudes. Now, they may not have a whole lot of them. That may be true. But they've got the dudes. So what ultimately this coaching staff is going to be judged by is, hey, you're in that threshold where you can feasibly win a national championship. You can't fall on your face and win 6 games again. That, to me, is the ultimate. The ultimate takeaway is that you've got the ratio you need. You've got the talent that you need. You guys need to go out here and give us some results. That's ultimately what it is.
It's kind of crazy to me, not that Texas A&M is on that list, but that Texas A&M still has a freaking 82% blue chip ratio. That's obscene.
Let me ask you this, based on what you just said, Parker.
Okay.
Dari and I talked about this earlier in the day.
Okay.
A&M's got a lot to work with around Marcel Reed, but it's the quarterback that gives us cause to pause with the Aggies.
Sure.
If you took John Mateer, and instead of him ending up with Oklahoma, he ends up with Texas A&M, is there a world where we think Texas A&M wins double-digit games in the regular season?
I think Texas A&M can win double-digit games in the regular season. I mean, things have to go their way in a couple of the big-time matchups that they're going to play.
Yeah.
I mean, I genuinely think half the SEC is capable of winning double-digit games. The question becomes, does everything line up just so for the team in question? And can they make the winning plays time and again over the course of the regular season to hit that 10-win threshold? I think Oklahoma's capable of winning 10 games. I think A&M's capable of winning 10 games. I think the 4 teams that I mentioned that make up the top tier of the SEC, Georgia, Texas, LSU, and Alabama, I expect those teams to win 10 games, right? I think Florida's capable. A lot of that depends on the performance of DJ Lagway. Like, there is... You're looking at me funny.
I think you and I are going to disagree on this one.
That's okay. There is no player in college football that offers more volatility than DJ Lagway. Like as far as their team's overall outcome and results. Because if DJ Lagway plays to a level that I think he is capable of playing in 2025, Florida could be a really dangerous team. DJ Lagway could also come out and he could throw 15, 20 interceptions in 2025 because that's just his style of play, right? Yep. Like he's a little bit erratic at times. He's a gunslinger. He's aggressive. He's a never say die type of mentality under center. And so depending almost exclusively on what you get out of DJ Lagway, Florida could be a 6-win team or they could be a 10-win team. That's how I feel about that program.
I think Florida's ceiling, and I had Florida borderline tier 2, borderline tier 3 in my tiers. And those are teams that I think I would project at 8 wins max. Could they win a 9th? Sure. 10 seems a little bit of a stretch for me for Florida. Oklahoma, I had in tier 2, which are teams that I think could backdoor their way to 10 wins. I have South Carolina on that tier as well. I'm higher, believe it or not, Parker, I'm higher on Ole Miss than I am Florida.
Interesting.
I was reading something about Austin Simmons the other day.
So you're an Austin Simmons truther. Okay.
You know, I'm not a truther yet, but what I read about him and what he's got upstairs, and I know he's got the talent. He's got the tangible talent. But what he's got upstairs in his mind, having graduated high school at 16 years old.
He's a bright dude.
Yeah, incredibly. I think that's a dude that can elevate your program to an additional win, maybe 2, if things happen to go your way, like they do one way or the other in the SEC. So I'm higher on Ole Miss this year. Also, I like their coach better than Billy Napier at Florida.
Trey says 70% is too low of a blue chip ratio. We lose 1 player, then we're out. Out of what, Trey? The National Championship Club? Again, my expectation is not that Oklahoma's going to win a national championship in 2025. Your expectation should not be that Oklahoma's going to win a national championship in 2025. Can we hope it happens? Absolutely. And actually, history would suggest that the Sooners are due because 1950, 1975, 2000, well, here comes 2025.
Oh, is that really a thing?
Yeah, that's a thing.
That is a thing.
Yep. They won it in 50 and 75 and in 2000. So, seems like they're due. Every quarter century, right? But no, in all seriousness, if Oklahoma lost 1 player and they dropped down to 69% blue chip ratio,
Teddy would like that.
Shout out Teddy Lehman. Would I be miffed by that? Would I be upset by that if I were an Oklahoma fan? Even the most hand-wringing type of Oklahoma fan that frets to no end about the state of recruiting? No, because I'm not going into 2025 with the expectation that Oklahoma is going to play for and or win a national championship. Could they make the college football playoff? Absolutely they could. But this team is coming off 6-7. Anybody that does expect Oklahoma to be competing for a national championship is far more optimistic than I ever could be or would recommend you be.
We haven't done much on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line in this hour, but Chapstick says, a master's from Ole Miss? Don't they still use coloring books at that level in Mississippi? Dang.
I think, like...
Is it Mississippi?
Is it Mississippi?
I think it is Mississippi that has the lowest education rate.
Oh, I was about to say, they might be higher than Oklahoma, and if so, that dunk doesn't really work.
Yeah.
We did get a $20 super chat on YouTube. And we are live on YouTube. For those of you that aren't aware, now you know. We're live on YouTube every single day on the KREF Sports YouTube channel. Hubinator Boom threw us $20 and said, please name all of our offensive weapons that are not blue chippers as well. That's a great prompt with the Super Chat function, Hubinator Boom, because John Mateer was not a blue chipper.
Nope.
Jaden Ott was not a blue chipper. Well, he actually might have been on one survey. He was not a consensus blue chipper. Deion Burks was not a blue chipper. Let's keep going. Who else?
I'm going
Giovanni
to
Gibson,
assume Giovanni Gibson.
Yeah, Giovanni Gibson was obviously not a blue chipper. Derek Simmons wasn't a blue chipper. Fabechi Wiwu wasn't a blue chipper.
Wait, hold on. Hang on. I feel like it would be easier to name which players on offense were blue chippers.
Yeah, it might actually be. Like, of the starting 11, which of those guys were blue chip recruits? Well, okay, Jacob Sexton was. No, Eddie Pierre-Louis wasn't even a consensus blue chipper. 24/7 had him as a 3-star, and Bud Elliott uses 24/7's recruiting rankings, so Eddie Pierre-Louis doesn't factor into that equation. So it's literally Jacob Sexton and Isaiah Satania among projected starters. Caden Helms, I guess, as well, 3 of 11. And that's it. There you go, folks. Oklahoma not only has a 70% blue chip ratio, but some of the football players on this team that will play the largest and most significant roles in 2025 are not part of that 70%. You want to flip over to the defensive side of the ball. Dominic Williams, Eli Bowen, Kendall Dolby, R. Mason Thomas. They did give him his 4th star at some point. Taylor Wine was not a 4-star, according to 24/7. So, I'm starting to drink more of the Kool-Aid. As this conversation gets unpacked further and further, I'm starting to drink a little bit more of the Kool-Aid myself. I'm like, wow, am I undervaluing this Oklahoma roster? Do I not think highly enough of them? Am I underselling them? I don't know. Talk is cheap. It's talking season. Time will tell. The test of the season will tell, as Brent Venables said yesterday, with regard to his young guys in particular. Okay, we are due for a timeout, and when we come back, I want to dive into a recruitment that is becoming very, very interesting. A 4-star defensive lineman that just recently pushed his commitment date back, and one for whom Oklahoma is in the heat of the battle. 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Stay here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Do you eat, sleep, and breathe Sooner football? We do too. This is the Ref, home of Sooner fans.
Whether you're from out of town or live here year-round, Visit Norman encourages you to shop local this summer. Visit Cayman's on Main Street, your one-stop shopping for men's and women's clothing and accessories, designer jewelry, cosmetics, and home decor. Featuring Peter Millar, Johnny O, Rag & Bone, John Hardy, and much more at Cayman's. Wonderhouse Design and Consign for window covering, upholstery fabric, wallpaper, furniture consignment, and more. Locally owned and operated with a constant rotation of new and unique pieces, Wonderhouse Design and Consign is always worth a stop. Grab some friends and head over to Westwood Family Aquatic Center. Don't wait to grab a season pass for exclusive access to all the summer fun Westwood Family Aquatic Center has to offer. Keep the good times going in Norman all summer when you eat, shop, and play local.
Fowler Automotive is proud to be a part of your community, where our passion and values lie far beyond the showroom. We believe that families, sports, art, and culture are at the heart of every thriving community, and it's important to us that we help build the communities that our dealerships call home. Stop by any of our 6 Oklahoma dealerships to see the Fowler Standard hard at work. We pride ourselves on being friendly, helpful, honest, and fair. This is what drives us every day. Fowler Automotive, a proud partner of OU Athletics.
Tired of feeling pressured by salespeople when shopping for auto insurance? At Right Way Insurance, there's no hard sell, just a clear, straightforward approach. We work with multiple insurance companies to give you the best options and rates with no gimmicks. You'll get the right coverage tailored to your needs, all while avoiding hidden fees and confusing policies. So if you're ready for a better experience with auto insurance, visit rightwayinsuranceok.com or call 405-607-6014 for your free quote today. Right Way Insurance, no pressure, just the right insurance for you.
At Armstrong Bank, your business isn't just business to us, it's personal. Our bankers are invested in your success, and we're ready to build a relationship that lasts. You deserve a strong financial partner by your side. Together, we can help make your business even stronger with products and services designed for your convenience. To learn more, visit a location near you or visit armstrong.bank. Armstrong Bank, strength runs in our family. Member FDIC.
For 3 generations, the John M. Ireland & Son Funeral Home and Chapel in Morris continued to serve the community by giving back to local schools, charitable organizations, and first responders.
We provide pre-planning for funerals and cremation services at the most reasonable prices.
We are proud to be a family-owned and operated funeral home.
Award-winning funeral home year after year, our family believes in serving the people of our community.
I'm John Ireland.
And I'm Solon Daniels.
You've got our word on it.
Are you, your family, or company looking for a locally owned and trusted management group? Carlsbad Management Group is an owner, developer, and manager of high-quality apartment communities in Oklahoma. They are a locally owned and operated management company for apartments and self-storage units. They are committed to providing exceptional apartment homes, customer service, and increasing the value of multi-family communities under our management. If you would like a free management quote today, call Carlsbad Management at 405-701-1411 and be part of the Carlsbad family.
Be part of the Sooner Magic for your favorite OU teams by becoming a season ticket holder. The SEC men's basketball schedule will be packed with 2025 NCAA tournament teams, while the OU women's basketball squad is set for another electrifying year after last season's Sweet 16 appearance. Plus, catch every perfect 10 of your reigning national champion women's gymnastics team, or join the football season ticket wait list to be among the first to secure seats as they become available. Visit Soonersports.com/tickets for your season ticket options today.
It is locked in here on the Ref, the Home of Sooner fans. Parker Thune, Grayson Singleton. One final segment before we turn things over to Machine Gun McComas, fresh off the plane, coming from Atlanta. And
Both
of course,
of you,
the Butkus Award winner, Teddy Lehman. I tell you, man, had a little bit of a snafu getting out of Atlanta. I told the story during the 12 o'clock hour. But Atlanta's a very interesting place. A very interesting place. I forgot how interesting it is. Hadn't been there for any substantial amount of time since the Peach Bowl in 2019. And especially the Atlanta airport, man. The things you see. The things you experience at the Atlanta airport. It sure is something. There will be a few sentences of my autobiography at least dedicated to my experiences over the years in the Atlanta airport.
How was Atlanta, though?
I mean, it was fine. I didn't sleep a whole lot. Got a crap ton of work done between me and the OU Insider Squad, which was great. Is great. The content will keep coming throughout the week. It was awesome to catch up with R. Mason Thomas on these airwaves yesterday. Jim Nagy made a cameo, which was great. But yeah, it was solid. I like the College Football Hall of Fame. Good venue. Wouldn't mind seeing it become the permanent home of SEC Media Days, but I don't think that's going to be the case. They haven't announced where they're holding it next year. I need them to go ahead and do that so I can get it on the calendar and plan a vacation next July. I'm going to need one by then.
Did you end up making it over to MLB All-Star Weekend at all?
No, I did not. Tickets were crazy expensive. We looked at it.
Were they really?
Yeah. Tickets to everything were crazy expensive.
Okay.
So I figured, you know what, man? There was some part of me that really, really wanted to just spend the money anyway and go watch Clayton Kershaw pitch. Because, I mean, that's what I grew up on,
of
man.
Course.
And how many years does he have left? He might be done after the 2025 season. So I gave some thought to it. I haven't watched him in person since he was on a rehab assignment in OKC for the Oklahoma City Dodgers in 2017. So that would have been fun. But tickets were stupid expensive, and we were busy. So decided against it. Hey, I want to dive into this storyline that is emerging in the last couple of days because, boy, wouldn't it be nice if a recruitment swung late in Oklahoma's favor after some of the sagas that Oklahoma fans have endured on the recruiting trail over the last few weeks? Most recently, Jacob Eberhardt committing to Illinois on Saturday when it looked for all the world like he was going to be a Sooner. Well, that may very well be happening right now with 4-star defensive lineman Elijah Golden out of Cardinal Mooney High School down in the state of Florida. I believe Golden's originally from Virginia. He hasn't been in Florida all that long, so don't get any misconceptions about the importance of location with a guy like Golden. The schools that comprise his Final 3, I guess it's a Final 4. He's considering Virginia Tech as well, but there's no real strong geographical pull to any school in his recruitment. But his Final 3, for all intents and purposes, I know you got Virginia Tech in the mix too, but it's Alabama, Oklahoma, Notre Dame. His last name is Golden, man. I mean, the buzz has been on Notre Dame for so long now, months and months, and it just kind of makes sense. They've placed a high priority on landing him. You have the fitting nature of the surname. And he had scheduled a commitment for July 26th, and it was fully expected to be the Fighting Irish when he made the decision. He announced this morning that he's pushing it back. He's not going to commit now until August 9th. Why, you ask? Well, let's just say Oklahoma's making a little run. Now, I don't know which way this recruitment's going to go in the end. Not going to sit here and promise you he winds up a Sooner on August 9th. I don't know. 3 weeks is a long time. A long time. Plenty can change in 3 weeks. But the fact that this commitment date is being postponed, folks, is unambiguously good news as far as Oklahoma is concerned. And there is a world in which Oklahoma has 3 defensive tackles on board before the season starts. And 3 good ones at that. Right now, it's only one. It's Brian Harris out of Mandarin High School down in Florida, Jacksonville. But they are really making Notre Dame sweat right now in the Elijah Golden recruitment. And I maintain that they lead the race for T-Ron Richardson as well, the 3-star defensive tackle out of Hopewell, Virginia. It could be the case that 2 of Oklahoma's 3 defensive tackle signees are from the state of Virginia in the 2026 class, if things go down like that. But I think that would be a welcome change for this fan base, Grayson, especially the Recruitniks, if Oklahoma was able to come from behind late in the process and land a kid, as opposed to being the school that is victimized when somebody else comes from behind.
And it would be who you're coming from behind against and also the position of the guy that you're getting. Because, like you just laid out, Brian Harris right now is the only defensive tackle in the class right now. You lead for T-Ron Richardson, and I hate to be an echo, but what could end up happening at a little bit of a delayed timeline than Sooner fans would have liked is that you end up with 3 really good defensive tackles and pretty versatile guys as well that can move around the defensive line, play in multiple schemes and multiple fronts. Brian Harris can play defensive end.
Yep.
He does so at Mandarin High School a little bit.
You know, it's funny. So he's actually transferring. He's transferring from Mandarin to Creekside High School in St. John's, Florida. And they're actually going to play him a little bit at outside linebacker.
I was just about to guess that.
Yep.
When you said he's transferring, I was like, are they moving him to a stand-up rusher?
Yep. They're going to have him in a 2-point stance.
That's interesting to me. That's really interesting. I wonder how he translates to that. Because he doesn't have that frame like a Von Miller where he looks a little bit slimmer but isn't. That kind of outside rusher frame, he doesn't have that because generally those people don't also play defensive tackle. So I'm curious. I'm curious to see. But if he puts that on tape and that looks good, Could you imagine Brent Venables and Miguel Chavis and Todd Bates licking their chops at what they can do with that dude? That is incredible. But to go back to the earlier point, if you do succeed in coming back for Elijah Golden and you hold on to your lead all the way to the finish line with T-Ron Richardson, it may take a little bit longer, but there's 3 defensive tackles that you probably wouldn't trade. I mean, sure, you'd like Valdon. You would have liked to have Valdon Sohn.
No doubt.
Or some of the other dudes that you lost out on. But that's a good group of 3 right there.
And then all that remains, as far as the defensive line is concerned, is to await the decision from Jake Krell.
Yeah.
Do you buy the Texas smoke? Because there's been a lot of folks suggesting in recent days that Texas is making up ground on Oklahoma.
See, the reason Texas could be making up ground with Oklahoma is because Texas seems to have been making up ground with everybody else. And
they are spending money. And a lot of it.
Yeah, they're spending a lot of money for high-prize recruits, which, again, I don't usually say in the negative connotation that a lot of people do. But the reality is that they are seeming attractive to dudes. They flipped Richard Wesley from Oregon. You beat out Georgia for Tyler Atkinson, who is a Georgia kid, by the way. And then you also flipped another defensive lineman from Georgia, if I remember correctly, yesterday or the other day. So Texas, to me, is I buy it because it's Texas and because of their recent run of success. They've been to the semifinals each of the last 2 years. And the fact that they are seeming to be a pretty popular destination among people who are Jake Krell's age. So for that regard, even without any insider knowledge, if I hear Texas, if I just get a sense that Texas is picking up steam, that to me is something to not ignore.
Chris from Knoxville says, Parker about to become public enemy number 1 of the Golden Domers again, LOL. I was telling Grayson earlier, man, it's been a good while since we had a good old-fashioned heads-up OU Notre Dame battle on the trail. You know what the last one was? It was a battle in which the kid ultimately decided on Oregon. Only for about 24 hours, but it was Peyton Bowen.
Was it Peyton Bowen?
Yeah, it was Peyton Bowen back in December 2020. I mean, that was a 9-month-long saga. He had committed to Notre Dame in January. By March, he was showing up for unofficial visits on OU's campus with a great degree of regularity. I think he visited unofficially close to 15 times while committed to Notre Dame. He was, I kid you not, Grayson, he was at every single Oklahoma home game that fall.
What?
And yet maintained the verbal to Notre Dame until signing day.
That verbal was about as secure as Tristan Key's commitment to LSU.
Which is exactly what I was saying all summer and fall.
Did
and
you really?
Notre Dame fans were having none of it.
Really?
Oh, they hated my guts. That was quite a time. Fortunately, I ended up being right.
Is that the most vindicated you've ever felt after running afoul with a particular fan base?
Yes. Without question, yes. Especially because I ran afoul, as did many others that have been covering the recruitment, with OU's fan base when he committed to Oregon. And I'm like, people, watch the ceremony. His mom literally buries her face in her hands when he picks up the Oregon hat. Thankfully, he signed with OU. If he'd signed with Oregon, my life would have been miserable for a while. But that, like when Peyton Bowen signed with Oklahoma, the level of vindication that I felt is to this point in my life unrivaled. Drew from Plymouth, yeah, Parker couldn't sleep a lot in Atlanta because he was thinking about those lovely ladies at Magic City. Somehow I didn't know the Magic City lore. We drove past it, and my buddy Spencer brought it up, and he said, you know about Magic City, right? And I said, no, I don't know about Magic City. It was Lou Williams, right?
Yeah, yes. That's where Lou Williams had escaped the bubble to go get some wings, and they had to quarantine himself.
I hope those wings were good, man.
I think they are. I think Magic City is known for those wings.
Hope they were worth it.
I'm guessing you didn't go to any joints like that in Atlanta.
I did not patronize Magic City or any establishment of that ilk.
Okay.
I kept it on the straight and narrow all week. I did go to a nice little ice cream shop in Bremen, Georgia. It was called, and get this, The buttered udder.
See, if that ever came up on my Apple Maps, I'm walking the other way.
It was really good ice cream.
I would imagine with that sort of name.
Oh, man. And here's the thing about small town Georgia. Small town Georgia doesn't live on social media. And so small town Georgia is entirely oblivious to the connotation that may exist there for 85-90% of the population.
How far?
It's kind of great.
How far outside of Atlanta was this?
Oh, it's like 30 miles west.
Damn. Why'd y'all go so far?
Because my buddy that I was staying with lives in Bremen.
Oh, really?
No.
Oh, okay, got you.
It's a good time. The buttered udder.
No.
I'm telling you, man.
No.
Some of the better ice cream I've had recently. Okay, we're done. Get us off these airwaves. We'll turn it over to the professionals coming up next. Teddy Lehman and Tyler McComas have the rush on the other side. Keep it here on The Ref.